Let's talk libraries. Libraries have always been an incredible resource in the course of our human history. Since ancient times, libraries have played a key role in recording our collective stories and become the gatekeeper which helped us to propagate through knowledge and distribute it to the next generations. This core idea that one can go to the library and retrieve information and knowledge makes it a unique social institution. Libraries have evolved in the ways where they serve their surrounding communities. A library, which once may have been exclusive to the elite scholars of the society, has been transformed to attend a more public crowd. And this evolution has impacted how we design the space for a community. So, how can a library truly impact a community today? Especially if the community is within a dense urban setting, like that of Chicago. Let's talk about Chicago. Covering an area of 220 square miles with an estimated population of 2.7 million people, Chicago is the third largest city in the nation. With some of the most iconic tourist destinations located within the city, Chicago bears an image of affluence and sophistication. Yet, there are parts of the city which do not get the same exposure. Socioeconomic conditions and a virulent history of institutionalized racism against the minorities has led to huge disparities among these communities. But beyond that, there's also the critique presented by Colin Rowe, where he questions the architecture of buildings with strict graded frames, which primarily serve the city's capital growth. And one can argue, even to this day, this so called Chicago frame remains to be the symbol of a certain class that excludes a major part of the city's population. So these observations became the basis on which a design could evolve. As we get closer to the site for our proposed branch library, we can see how this organized grid system historically has helped exclude the underrepresented parts of the society from this prominent part of the city. In an effort to establish an alternative to this architecture that evokes a sense of exclusion, we start with analyzing and fragmenting this regular grid. The project explores the spatial qualities that can be derived from creating a fracture within a very ordered system. And this fracture is implemented both in a plane and within a volume to help create a public destination that frames social activities and resources at the city's edge. The staggered section and the central circulation encourage exploration through visual connections between programs, whose placements are directly influenced by the composition of voids against the solids derived from the initial fragmentation of the grid. The library opens up to the pedestrian tunnel, creating continuous experience for the patrons visiting this destination. The approach from Chicago Avenue towards the lake creates a grounded opportunity to access the library, as it helps to directly interact with the pedestrians exploring the spaces outside. Secondary facade units complement to this notion, creating an additional layer which impacts the experience within the spaces being ventured by the patrons. A rather open work environment helps the patrons to connect directly with the people behind the scenes and researchers alike. The design promotes a unified experience of different pieces coming together as a unit, where layers of transparency showcase the city and the lake alongside the public knowledge resources. The library, which traditionally has been the gatekeeper for knowledge, now transforms into a gateway for everyone.